this is Nick and Adam from That Radio Show. It's been said that we have the most unpredictable show on the web. Nick, would you agree?
Well, no, Adam. First we talk about headlines, then we go to sex, then to politics, and finally about an idiot crossing the road with a chicken on his head.
Come listen to That Radio Show at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. Central.
Unscripted, uncut, and always uncensored. Talk radio will never be the same.
Now is the time to stand for freedom. Overpasses for America defends our Constitution by using the Constitution to oppose tyranny, corruption, and oppressive government officials. Stand up, speak out, and get involved by joining Overpasses for America and the tens of thousands of freedom-loving Americans who are exercising their constitutional rights by rallying on overpasses in Illinois and across America. Find out how you can defend the Constitution by visiting overpassesforamerica.com. That's overpassesforamerica.com.
Good evening, and welcome to our show tonight. This is Steve DeLoach with the DeLoach Approach. We are so glad you're with us. Wow. Here we are, August 15th, 2015. If you're listening to us live, if you're not, if you're listening to an archive show, then you'll know when we did the show. But it's August 15th, 2015, and we're so glad that you're here. Really delighted to be here today. We've got a full show. Before we go on, though, I want to remind you that there are, in fact, lots of ways you can listen to our show. You can listen to us, of course, by going to WNLMradio.com/player and hear us live there. You can also go to TuneIn.com and search for WNLM Radio and listen to us live there. We are also archiving the show on lots of places. You can go to Spreaker.com. That's where many of our people go to listen, and dozens go to that site every week and listen to the show at their leisure. You can go to SoundCloud.com, and you can also go to YouTube, and all of those places have archived records of our show. You can look for WNLM Radio, or you can look for the DeLoach Approach, and you'll easily be able to find us. We really are thrilled to have so many different platforms for the DeLoach Approach, because it means more and more people will be able to listen. And so for all of our new listeners, those that haven't listened to us before, we thank you so much, and we welcome you to our show. And we look forward to a long and exciting relationship with you. Boy, this political season is going to be very exciting. When you listen, we hope that you will like our show. Just click the like button at whatever platform you're at. That tells that platform that we have listeners, and we're glad about that, and that's a very, very good thing. As I mentioned, my name is Steve DeLoach. I'm the host for the show. My co-host, Lisa K. Hauser, is with me from Broadhead, Wisconsin. Good evening, Lisa.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. You've been sick this week.
Yes, we've had quite a bug up here. It's hit all three of our little households here in town. Our house and our daughter's house and our son's house, and the grandbabies have had it, and my husband and my son that lives here at home has had it, and it's been quite a mess, but we're getting better.
Well, this makes me glad that we're not in the same studio. In fact, we're on separate.
We're not on the same continent.
That's right. I'm broadcasting from Georgetown, Guyana, down in South America, the only English-speaking country in South America. Nick Larson is our producer tonight. He's in Minnesota, and we're just coming from a lot of different directions, but we really are glad that you're with us. We've got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right to it. Usually in our first segment, we talk about those things that we don't have time to really give a lot of time to. And so we're going to get started right off the bat with one of the first stories. And seriously, Al Gore?
Seriously, last week we thought it was just amazing that we had some people talking about bringing in someone from the last election the last time, but now that they're talking about bringing in Al Gore, yeah, some insiders in the Democratic Party are discussing having former Vice President Al Gore make another run for U.S. president. I mean, he's done this twice before and, well, not successfully.
That's correct.
BuzzFeed reported on Thursday, adding that the man who won the popular vote in the 2000 presidential election has not taken any steps toward entering the current race. They're figuring out if there's a path financially and politically. An unnamed Democrat told BuzzFeed about the insiders. It feels more real than it has in past months, he said. Gore is 67 now, and he was the Democratic candidate in the 2000 election when the U.S. Supreme Court stopped a vote recount in Florida, which ultimately led to the Republican George W. Bush becoming the nation's 43rd president. And of course, we all remember the dangling chads and the bulging chads and the flopping chads and all of that came about from that debacle. Of course, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has dominated the small field of Democrats vying. Well, she has up till
recently. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But when she ran in 2008, Gore, who served as vice president under her husband, former President Bill Clinton, declined to endorse her.
That was interesting.
Yes, that's right.
And very telling, too, by the way.
Absolutely, very telling. And BuzzFeed reported that its sources cautioned not to overstate Gore's interest. It said he has not made any formal or informal moves to join the race, has not met with political advisors about a potential run, and did not comment to the media outlet about making a bid. Still, the environmental activist, Nobel Peace Laureate and founder of Current TV, and according to him, the inventor of the internet.
Yes. Yes. We're doing a show tonight thanks to Al Gore. Thanks
to Al Gore. Bless his heart. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. He enjoys some favor among voters. A recent Reuters poll showed 3.3% of Democrats would vote for Gore in the 2016 election, the same percentage as those who would elect actor George Clooney, but far less than the 18.8% who would vote for Gore's old boss, Bill Clinton, who is barred by law from running again.
Well, 3.3% is not a big percentage. Excuse me, but anyway, whatever Mr. Gore decides to do, we wish him well. I don't really care whether he runs or not. I don't think it'll have any.
I wish he'd stay home.
Yeah.
I don't wish him any harm, but I wish he'd stay home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll tell you, we have so many on the political stage that have connections to administrations that go back years, decades. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that going back to some of that is the way we ought to do that on either side of the aisle. Now, there's another.
Exactly. And there's another.
There's another candidate that people asked him if he was interested in running. Who might that be?
That would be Kerry.
Secretary of State John Kerry.
Yes.
They asked him if he was interested in running, and
he said no, not at all at this time.
Now he did leave the door open.
Yes, he did leave the door open. He said that he would consider seeking the presidency again at another time, but he's not considering it for this bid next year. Now, I'm not sure how old he is. He looks very, very old, but I'm not sure exactly how old he actually is. So I don't know how many more bids he's got in him, frankly.
Well, I don't either, and wow. Now, he does say that he absolutely loves his job, that he thinks it's the best job in the government now.
Does he realize that runs out at the end of this current president's tenure?
Well, one never knows. I mean, after all, he is a Democrat, so maybe he thinks he's gonna stay. I don't know.
He's
But
that special.
yeah, that's certainly true. But that situation is interesting because I'm really surprised anyone even asked him if he was running. I don't know, maybe. And I believe he's like 72 or 74.
Well, if he's 72 or 74, he's basically a peer of Joe Biden's. Although you
That's
wouldn't be able to tell that to look at them side by side. Joe Biden certainly
Yep,
looks much younger than Mr. Kerry does.
that's correct. But John Kerry is the one that in the middle of the Iran nuclear negotiations entered a bike race and broke his leg.
Well,
Uh,
this is
so
true.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Now before we came on the air,
Hmm.
uh, Nick told us something about the next story. He just gave us the headline, and
Yes.
that is the New Hampshire poll that has come out
Yes.
in the last couple of days, and it's been in the news. And
It has been in the news.
what does that poll tell us?
That poll tells us that Hillary is losing significantly to Bernie. Bernie Sanders is just whopping on her in New Hampshire.
Now, I want to remind you, those of you that are conservative and are listening to this and are going, "How can that be?" Remember, this is a poll of likely Democratic voters,
Yes, that's right.
so it's not by any means the majority of America. It is likely Democratic voters,
That's
which
right.
kind of
And he's up on her by from 44 to 37 among likely Democratic primary voters. That's the first
I,
time that he has been favored over Clinton, and at all ever, according to the poll of 442 Granite Staters.
sure, and I got to tell you that actually tells us a lot,
Hmm.
regardless of what former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has to say. I believe that Benghazi, that the server, that the emails have taken their toll with her.
That the foundation, that
Yeah,
the foreign contributions, it's
yeah,
just piling up higher and higher, thicker and thicker, more and more and more and more. And it should, because it's one thing to have one issue come up and say, oh, well, I can sort of say, well, now we aren't real sure about that. And maybe even two issues where you could say that I'm sorry, but that's just questionable. But these are one thing after another, after another, after another. And whether or not the mainstream media wants to face this or not, the fact is we have Benghazi, we've got the foundation money, the contributions coming from overseas. We're going to get into Planned Parenthood and their relationship with her later tonight, which is a
yes.
whole new set of worms that are about to spill all over the place.
In fact,
Um,
I'm telling you, folks, if you're listening, you need to stay with us because we're going to talk a lot about Planned Parenthood, and there's a lot there that the average person doesn't know. And so you really
it's
need to stay with
unbelievable.
us. The middle
Yes,
of
you
the
do.
show, the middle hour of the show, or the last hour of the show, depending on how long it takes us to get there, we're going to talk a lot about Planned Parenthood. And I'm telling you, it has turned my stomach as I've read this and looked at
Right.
it, and we've researched it and researched it and researched it, and
And
so
even
you're
after
right.
we had the production notes put together for the show, this afternoon, Steve and I were still sending articles back and forth to each other saying, did you see this? Did you see this?
That's right.
It's just unbelievable the amount of information that's out there that is not being shared with the public by the mainstream media.
Now here's the other thing: the New Hampshire poll,
Hmm.
where Bernie Sanders leads Clinton 44 to 37%. That is
Yes,
significant.
absolutely.
That's 7 percentage points. That's beyond the plus or minus,
Yes, that's
and
right.
so he is solidly ahead of her. Now, I
Yep.
want you to stop and think about that for a minute, folks. The best that the Democratic Party has to offer, at least currently, according to New Hampshire, is either Hillary Clinton or an avowed socialist.